The Chicago Bears get their man and Ben Johnson to head up the next era of Chicago Bears football. We'll give you our thoughts coming up. To the NBA, we're less than 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Can the Bulls finally make a move? Please, please, please. That and Christine the Queen Manika returns for her NFC and AFC championship picks and a whole lot more as the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports starts right now. Welcome to the latest edition of the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded and live in a living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakina McGee, which is she. I am City Brown. You better know by now that this is me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and the IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms of Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We're located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are located on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll, indoor, do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakina full powers to give you Dumbo's ability and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, whether you're watching us live on our Facebook and YouTube pages, or you're checking us out on the replay, shout out to the replay gang. Don't you never, ever forget, we are always here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand, and you know we will provide.
And we provide you with some of the best, only the best here on Second City Sports as we try to keep things warm here. I know it's still a little bit cool in some spots, but we'll try to keep it hot with the best sports topics as we talked Illinois losing a tough one to Maryland. Well, it's kind of a yearly tradition, I guess. And the rest of the college hoops news, our girl Christine Mack from KXRB helps us preview Championship Sunday and the news. And among other things, the newest, baseball Hall of Fame class has been announced, and someone's have a bone to pick with that one person that didn't vote for Ichiro, but that's another. Well, we'll say that for 1 o'clock. And of course, the Bulls had a kind of a mixed bag, so far out on the West Coast trip, and the rest of the NBA with the couple weeks before the trade deadline. Some latest trade rumors. But first, I guess the big news here in Chicago is that the Bears, got their guy just as soon as we went off. Off on our show on Monday, the Bears made the announcement that I don't know who that is out there, but they officially made the announcement of Ben Johnson, the former OC for the Lions. He had the presser on Wednesday with all the pomp and circumstance and all the interesting little tidbits there. He saw his he has a wife and 3 young kids. They're adorable. And of course, you saw his speech when it was official and such. I know he said all the right things, and look, he didn't say that we were unselfish. You were going to be selfish and undisciplined. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, like Mark Trestman did years ago. But it's sort of one of those things where you're just like, okay, I don't want to hear all this talk or hearing various sports commentators here, sports radio people here saying, oh, he won the presser. I've never been so excited. Okay, get me excited, fine, but give me some results. Like, you can win the presser all you want because promise to have world peace. Do it. Like, okay, you want to be. Yeah, I know you told there was some Rome and Caleb and some of the other Bears. Caleb, Cole Kmet was there too. Like they said, well, get used to being uncomfortable. That's what you said. Okay, all right, show us. I'm in Missouri now. Show me what this guy. This is what just what every Bears fan wanted. Every pundit here wanted. Give me some results. That's all I want. And I still don't trust Ryan Poles making the big picks, but that's a different conversation. So what do you think about Ben Johnson? What are your early thoughts on this?
First of all, I think that was George McCaskey finally getting to your message, returning your call that your services will not be wanted in their organization, but that's just me. But back to the Ben Johnson conversation. Of course, we'll give the Bears their flowers of getting their man. If Ben Johnson, if Ben Johnson decided at the last minute that he didn't want to go to Chicago, they had Mike McCarthy in their back pocket. Now, I will give the Bears credit for this. They are playing with the big boys in terms of paying their coaches. They haven't done that in the past. When was the last time? I think we talked about this the last couple of shows. The only time that I can remember in our lifetime that the Bears got the top guy was Dave Wannstedt following the firing of Mike Ditka following the 1992 season, and Dave Wannstedt had one playoff appearance in his 6 years here. But with Ben Johnson, I'm with you. I'm in wait and see mode. Like you said, he said all the right things. He did win the presser. Like you said, you can win the presser, but it doesn't mean a damn thing down the line. And I know I heard Cole Kmet on his podcast on CHGO talked about how he said he is to get to work in April when they have the mandatory mini camps right before the NFL draft and all that. But see, here's the thing, Lakina, that I want to get to. When will the Bears show the fans that they're meaning business seriously? Okay, you got the coach, you got it, but when are you going to show the fans that you're serious about building a team for sustained success? Now, we haven't had an NFC Championship game here since 2010, the 2010 season, okay? We haven't had a playoff game here in Chicago since 2018. We all know how they went, but show me where you're serious about this roster. Now, people could argue back and forth, well, this Bears roster is not that far away. And others will say, well, it's not the object on where it says in your rearview mirror, the objects are closer than they appear. So others may argue, like, your roster is not as good as you thought. And I think the Bears are somewhere in between. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do in free agency. And, of course, what they do following up with that with the NFL draft coming up in late April. But, Lakina, as I look at the under the hood of the car, things is not as great as you think. Okay, you're going to make some minor adjustments, blah, blah, blah. But you need to make those adjustments before it becomes serious problems, i.e. the offensive line, i.e. a speedy wide receiver, i.e. a strong impact pass rusher to go opposite Montez Sweat. I don't care how that player comes, whether it's via free agency or via the draft, but those are the three strong needs that this Bears team needs right now. Offensive line, a speedy wide receiver, and a strong pass rusher to go opposite Montez Sweat.
Mm-hmm. And I would also, it was Second City Sports on Sports Channel, the Kingdom McGee, City Brown with you. I would say get some O-line help. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, everybody keeps saying that, that this roster, some people are saying that, oh, it's not that far away. They can be right there in NFC, North division, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, but also at the same time, like, Ryan Poles has shown that at least so far he's not been able to get that O-line help and such. Hasn't drafted. Let's draft a punter in the 4th round. Sure, why not? So that's why I'm kind of like hesitant with all this, because you're reportedly are going to be paying Ben Johnson $13 million, and okay, Ryan Poles, what if he has another bad draft? Yes, they're going to have money and draft picks and such, but you got to make things happen. You got to make sure you get the right players that will fit his system. And I know Coach Johnson said that, well, it's going to be totally different than what you saw with the Lions and such. Okay, fine. But the thing is that you had the personnel to run that offense. You had the quarterback, you had the running backs, you had the receivers, you had the O-line. That's the most important thing. The Bears don't have that. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still in the wait and see mode. Saying, okay, the defense. I know, okay, he says he'll be very hands-on with the defense. But like you said, Sid, where's that D-line help? Was Andrew Billings that important? I don't. We'll see when he comes back.
Ron Dexter, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. So I'm just like, okay, oh right, okay. What kind of scheme? Who you're going to bring in? Whether it's Dennis Allen or whoever, what scheme you're going to play if you're the Bears. So yeah, there's still a lot to kind of be done. And I know I heard somebody say, well, the Bears schedule next year is not that good. Really? They're going to be playing the NFC East and the AFC North. And they play San Francisco again, too, in the Bay Area. Excuse me? Like, come on. Like, seriously? We're saying that,
You're getting a second place schedule next year, folks.
yes, exactly. So I'm just like, okay, y'all need to kind of like temper. I'm not saying you should be excited, but let's temper the expectations a little bit, folks, please.
Yes, this Bears organization still has a lot of work to do. And I want to bring up this next point before we break for the bottom of the hour. With Ben Johnson being the first-time head coach, and many people are still questioning GM Ryan Poles. One, does Ryan Poles get that extension? And number two, does Ben Johnson, how much does Ben Johnson have a say within this roster? Because I guarantee between right now and early March, when the new league year calendar begins, probably before the combine, we'll just say before the combine at the end of February, I believe when that is the combine. He's going to look at film from every game and going to break down every play from every position. How much say will he have on this roster? And what system he's going to try to run? How much say does he have? And with Ryan Poles, I know he has 1 year left on the contract. Realistically, does he deserve an extension right now? And if no, will it be smart? Is it smart for the Bears to see what he does this off season and treat him like Jed Hoyer? If you don't make the playoffs next year, you're gone no matter what.
And I also say too, you're going to bring a new GM, and you're basically going to be saying you're stuck with Ben Johnson for like a year or two because they're paying supposedly $13 million. What if that GM wants to bring in his own guy? So you're kind of like stuck in the corner there if you're the Bears. That's why I said that you probably would have been better off just letting Ryan Poles go and let a new GM come in and find his guy. But again, we'll see what happens. So yeah. So anything else before we close up here for the bottom?
If that's the case, going by your logic, what are the Bears waiting for? Sign Ryan Poles to a 2 or 3 year extension, because we know that Ben Johnson will be here for, even though it's a 5-year contract, he's going to be here for at least 3 years. And like Dick Vermeil said in that 1999 St. Louis Rams special by NFL Fans America's game, talking about the 99 Rams, if you haven't won in your first 2 years, in your third year, if you don't win anything, you're gone. So we know that Ben Johnson is going to be here for at least the next 3 years. The question is will Ryan Poles be around those remaining 2 years to see it? And like you said, Lakeith, if you don't want to go through that personnel again, what are the Bears waiting for? Just re-sign Ryan Poles to a 2 or 3 year extension. That'll be the logical play here. But if they're treating him like the Cubs are treating Jed Hoyer, I get the idea, and rightfully so, but it's like you say, it could be a bigger mess than what they think what they could ever anticipate, and that's just not a bad. It's not a good place that you want to be in as a franchise right now. You got your guys as far as the head coach, but your GM, the way you handle it is still in flux at best.
So we continue with this. We'll talk more about this. We're going to Christine Mann from KXRB at the top of the hour. But first, we're going to talk a little NBA and Bulls, as the Bulls, have a mixed bag, so far this week, out west, especially, getting their butts kicked by the Warriors yesterday. Also, the NBA All-Star stars have been announced, and so much more NBA talk coming next with Kenny McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports. On Sports Till Chicago, we go to the hardwood. Wrap this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded and live in the living color right here with Sports So Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find my Kingdom again on the Twitter, X, and again, IG.
We have 85 minutes left or so in this extravaganza. We call it Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we dive into some Bulls and NBA talk for this segment, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. The kid will get them up on the screen for you.
Go off to the Bay Area as the Bulls have had a mixed week this week with some of the on their West Coast trip. Of course, they did beat the Clippers 112-99. Zach LaVine had 35 points there in a kind of a mild upset. Of course, the Clippers were playing a second of a back-to-back. Now, unfortunately, yesterday, it was close for a little bit, but it was all Warriors. A big third quarter for the Warriors. They outscored the Bulls 31-16, and led by, of course, Steph Curry. Steph was 5 for 12 from 3-point range, so he's going to be tough to they're going to be tough to beat. But guys Santos and Quentin Post, guys that you never heard of had 19 and 20 points off the bench respectively. So it was really their bench guys. For Moses Moody had 16 points off the bench as well. So it was really their bench that really kind of killed the Bulls. Unfortunately, 24 points for Zach. And Josh Gay had 16, and Ayo had 13 off the bench. But it was a struggle for the rest of the team. So definitely a tale of two halves for the Bulls in this game last night.
Yeah, the Bulls tried to keep up last night, especially in that first set. But like you said, Lakina, a couple of unsung heroes came through in the second half. And Steph Curry, I'm not going to say he didn't try that hard, but he didn't have to have his Steph Curry heroic performance where he hits 8-9 3-pointers in a row. That's just wasn't happening last night. And the Warriors are down a couple of people right now, in particular Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga. So you had other guys step in and step up. But for the Bulls, they really couldn't find that shooting stroke last night, especially in that second half. They did shoot the ball from three pretty well. I know in today's NBA, 16-40, it looks ugly and disgusting. but it's good in today's NBA. That's for 40%, which the Bulls shot from three last night. They shot 39% overall from the game, but you got to get bigger performances outside of Zach LaVine. I know Lonzo Ball starting to get more minutes, perhaps improving his trade value. We'll talk about the possible trade scenarios coming up in just a bit. But Vooch has been giving you double doubles. And you mentioned Io. He's been in and out of the lineup, but when he's been healthy, he's been giving you productive minutes. Kobe White, he's been in and out of the lineup due to his various injuries. So the Bulls, other players besides Vooch has to step up to help out Zach. Patrick Williams, I don't know about you, Lakina. He's been a big disappearing act this year.
Yeah, he really has. And we talked about on Monday them trying to trade him. I said, well, good luck to you trying to trade P. Will, especially when he hasn't been producing. So yeah, like I said, kind of a tough like mixed week for the Bulls on the road out west. Now they come back home tomorrow as they host Philadelphia, up and down Philadelphia squad, if you will. So we'll see what happens in that game. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. The Bulls, some of the trade rumors that are coming out. Of course, Zach's been kind of like the subject there. There have been like a lot of people are playing with their trade machines and apparently having too much time on their hands. And Bradley Beal's name has come up as a possible Bull, but and also to, I guess, support of a multi-team trade where Phoenix would get Jimmy Butler. But we'll talk about the whole mess with Jimmy Butler in a second. But yeah, that whole thing, all the various trade rumors. I know Vooch. I've heard Vooch's name being brought up, and for I think I saw a couple maybe OKC, maybe Sacramento. I know some names have been thrown around as well, but. Do you think with the trade deadline in a couple of weeks, do you think the Bulls will do anything?
It sounds like it's headed in that direction, but like you said, we have less than 2 weeks, and we talked about it on the show before a couple of weeks ago. I think strategically the Bulls are holding out in terms of Zach LaVine. What's the best offer for him? I know there was a story that's been out for the last 24, 40 hours saying that it was a report that's saying that Zach LaVine says that he wants to stay in Chicago based on what the offense has looked like so far this year. He's been playing like an all-star so far this year. We've been saying throughout the season that Zach is playing like he wants to be traded. Now, the story is, if you believe the report, that he wants to stay, but we'll see about that. But I think the Bulls are playing this right to see what's the best offer for Zach LaVine. You're not going to give him away for nothing. But on the flip side, and I caution Bulls fans this, and the Bulls management recognize this, the rest of the NBA recognize this. If there's any indication that what we saw or didn't see over the summer, the rest of the NBA is telling you what Zach LaVine's true trade value is. If Zach LaVine was worth a little bit more than what the Bulls think of him in their eyes, he would have been gone by now.
Yeah, and I think that's really going to be the thing here. So probably not going to get too much value for, and I think that might be why Zach said what he said about, hey, I wouldn't mind staying here in Chicago, mainly because there's really nothing much out there. You're not going to get a lot of value from that. So yeah. Hey, let's bring in another guy with an expiring contract. And Bradley Beal, who will have to take a game or two off every once in a while. So sure. Why not? So yeah, I know that it can never have to kind of play this very close to the vest and very carefully. So to try to get something, maybe get something for Vooch, maybe you can get something for maybe Lonzo, maybe you could get, if you're lucky, get like a mid-round, mid-level first rounder. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see if the Bulls, if they do anything, because there's a scenario where the Bears won't do nothing and stand pat. So I don't know. Gonna be interesting to see what happens here, but that's kind of where
I won't be shocked I won't be shocked that that's the result either. And what's going to be the narrative, whether it's true or not, if this Bulls team stands pat. AK and Mark Eversley have estimated, overvalued their guys. You know who the last people to do that, and that's why they're not in their season anymore? Gar Forman and John Paxson. I'm just saying. Now, getting back to that rumor that I saw yesterday, and I sent you this. You probably saw it before I sent it. Now, speaking of Bradley Beal, of course, he's one of two players currently two players in the NBA that does have a no trade clause. And I saw the rumor that it was a 3-team trade between Chicago, Phoenix. I think it was a 14 trade between Miami, Chicago, Phoenix and Milwaukee. Basically, Jimmy Butler ends up in Phoenix.
Yep.
Bradley Beal ends up in Chicago. Zach LaVine ends up in Milwaukee. Now, let me look at this from the Bradley Beal aspect of it. Okay, unless Bradley Beal cuts behind the scenes closed door deal, why would you end up here in Chicago? Why would he want to play here? Okay, he still has a couple of years, I think 2 or 3 years left on that humongous deal that he signed a couple of years ago. Now, we'll get to the Phoenix side of Jimmy Butler and all that stuff in just a moment. I'll get to the Zach LaVine side of that rumored deal I saw on Twitter last night. Can Milwaukee use Zach LaVine? Yes, only because of what's been happening with the injuries to their quote-unquote third star in Chris Middleton over the last 2 or 3 years. Will Zach LaVine look nice next to Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo? Yes, but do they really need him? They really don't need him. Now, the team that we talked about this a few weeks ago that really needs Zach LaVine's services more than Milwaukee does, the Denver Nuggets. Look how that bench is right now.
Well, and look, like I said, I mean that whole trade in of itself. I mean, I think no, that's not even a good trade for the Bulls. Forget everyone else. That's not even a good trade for them because all they would give is Beal and perhaps maybe I guess what a 27 pick from Milwaukee. That's not gonna cut it, and I wouldn't want that trade. So, like I said, it's gonna be a whole lot of rumors in the next week. So the 10 days. So yeah, we'll see if the Bulls do anything. Like I said, we'll keep you guys updated with the rumors and stuff. I saw that and I was just like, nah, no, that's not even a good. That would be a good trade for the Bulls. So I doubt that AK and everything would probably pull that trigger. So we'll see what happens. I just like to see sports on Chicago. King McGee, Steve Brown with you. Let's get to the rest of the NBA. The Clippers had a rough week losing to both the Bulls and the Celtics, but they did bounce back and beat the Wizards. Norman Powell had 22 points there. The Lakers and the Celtics, this is actually the most that the Lakers have beaten the Celtics by since the 2010 NBA Finals. AD had 24, LeBron had 21 as they beat the Celtics there, 117-96. Struggling from the field for both Tatum and Brown. Porzingis had 22 points, a losing effort there. Jokic had a triple-double. He had 35 points, 22 boards, and 17 assists. No one since the NBA and ABA merger has reached all three of those single-game marks over the course of an entire season. He's actually leading the league in that right now. So all three of those categories. As the Nuggets got the best of the Kings, 132-123. DeMar had 24 and a losing effort there. Speaking of Milwaukee and Miami, Milwaukee beat Miami. Dame had 29 in that game. The Dallas beat OKC. They actually is their fourth win over OKC this year. Spencer Dinwiddie had 28 points there. Toronto edged out Atlanta. Portland beat Orlando easily. Anthony Simons had 21 there, and his first trip back to Paris, playing in his hometown. Victor Wembanyama had 30 points as led a big second half as the Spurs beat the Pacers down over there in Paris.
Yeah, we'll start backwards first. The Pacers Spurs contest. Of course, it was a Victor Wembanyama show. All the love that he got in his hometown, as you mentioned. It was almost like a Super Bowl homecoming, high school, early college atmosphere in the celebration. I'll give the NBA credit. They've done a tremendous job promoting, basketball overseas. It's a globalized game now, thanks to the NBA. And he did put on a great show for those fans yesterday. He'll get a chance to do it again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on ESPN for the rematch. But Victor Wembanyama is one of those stars that the NBA is going to market for the future, whether people like it or not. He has a nice game for a guy that his size, and he showed all the versatility that has in his repertoire so far this year. And he did it a little extra spicy yesterday from his hometown fans.
Yep. So yeah, I saw some highlights from that game, and you saw how much the crowd, every time he touched the ball, he got cheers from the crowd. So that was, you can tell how loved he is over there in that area, because he grew up not too far from where that arena is in Paris. So he would go there all the time to practice. So a nice little homecoming there, and the Spurs won, so that makes it even a better homecoming. To Wednesday's games, Boston edged out the Clippers in overtime, 117-113. Jaylen Brown had a big overtime there. Sacramento was actually down 18, as much as 18 against Golden State. They came back and beat the Warriors by 6, 123, 117. DeMar had 32 points there. It's actually the third time since Doug Christie has taken over that the Kings had to come back. They came back from 18 down against Dallas in the 30th of last month. Just a couple of weeks ago against Miami, they were down 17 and came back. 18 down on Wednesday, they came back. No other coach in the 21st century has had 3 15-plus point comeback wins within his first dozen games as NBA coach in Doug Christie. So, go figure with that one. Now, the Milwaukee-New Orleans game was postponed due to all that snow that fell down the bayou. So hopefully folks are staying warm, and hopefully they're kind of cleaning up from that. Memphis beat the Hornets by 12. Houston, I want to talk about this game for a second. Houston edged out Cleveland, and Fred VanVleet had 26 points. It was kind of one of those games where it was sort of like a kind of interesting how all that sort of like played out, and it was kind of weird how all that sort of started. Seguin made 2 free throws with 4.5 seconds left. But unfortunately, Darius Garland missed 2 or 3 free throws after that to allow the Rockets to edge the Cavs out in that game.
Yeah, it all comes down to the little things. If you're trying to develop a culture, trying to become a consistent winning team, and Cleveland's had a great start to the season so far. I know they stumbled a little bit. I know Houston stumbled a little bit too. Now they're back on track. But if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, moments like this, you cannot tense up. You got to seize the moment. And this situation and situations like this will come up again, especially around the playoffs. And you know as well as I do, Lakina, in playoff time, when that situation arises, you got to know, you better be ready. You got to know what to do, because if you don't, you'll be out of the playoffs just like that.
And if this game kind of prevents it from being the number 1 seed, if you're the Cavs, like you're going to be looking back on this game, you're thinking, oh crap, but free throws for Darius Garland. I know he's probably going to have nightmares about those free throws for a little bit. The T-Wolves edge out the Mavs. Jaden McDaniels had 27 points, a season high for him. Phoenix no trouble with Brooklyn, and the Pistons beat Atlanta. Kate Cunningham, 29 points there in that game.
Your guy.
Yeah, doing well so far for the Pistons. They're right there at the top in the top 5 in the East. Wednesday or Tuesday's games, mind you. The Lakers beat the Wizards. AD had 29 there. Jokic 27 as the Nuggets hammer the Sixers. Toronto no trouble with Orlando. Portland beat Miami, and the Knicks hold off the Nets. 25 points for Cats. And a busy Martin Luther King day of NBA games, where we talk about the Bulls and the Clippers, them being the Clippers. The Pelicans beat the Jazz in overtime. Boston by 40. There's a 40 burger over Golden State there. Cleveland, no trouble with Phoenix. The Knicks beat Atlanta. Memphis edged out Minnesota. Detroit beat Houston, and the Mavs lose to the Hornets. LaMelo Ball had 23 points from the Hornets in that win.
All right, before we get to the other news and nuggets from the NBA, including the starters for next month's All-Star game, I want to talk about a couple of here involving a couple of teams in the Eastern Conference. One, we'll get this out of the way. Brandon Miller, the second-year star of Alabama for the Charlotte Hornets, he'll be gone for the rest of the year after having wrist surgery. We know that the Hornets are having a terrible season. We all thought they could be a team that could perhaps sneak into the play-in tournament. That's not happening now. So Brandon Miller is gone for the rest of the year for that squad. Number 2, their rival in that same Southeast division, the Miami Heat. Of course, Jimmy Butler was suspended for the last 2 games for missing the team playing. And the way he's going about this, Lakina, I don't like it at all. I know he wanted a contract extension from Miami. Pat Riley, the godfather of the NBA, as I call him, he said no. So Jimmy Butler is pulling these pranks, trying to get out of Miami. You saw it did not end well here in Chicago. It did not end well in Minnesota. As Lakina will always say, Google is your friend about the Minnesota situation. We'll leave it at that. Now he's leaving bad tracks, trying to get out of Miami. What are your thoughts about all this? It just doesn't look well for Mr. Butler.
Well, it doesn't, but like I said, when the news came out about that he missed a flight for the road trip, for the love of everything, just trade him already. Like he doesn't want to
Mm.
be there. You're only dragging him to he's only still there because you're making him do you really want this to be a distraction? So if I were look, Pat Riley, he's been doing this for shoot since Nixon, probably even longer than that. That's been but yeah, but I think you're just like making it worse for your team, and I know it's become a distraction now. So if I were the Heat, I would probably like sit down with Butler and his people. Like, okay, just ask what do you want? Like, okay, fine, we'll trade you, but we're not just gonna give you away and get you whatever teams that he has on there. And so yeah, they're gonna have to figure out something because this is gonna be a distraction until the trade deadline. And I know look, you saw what happened the last couple of games that he missed. They lost both of them, so you're gonna have
Mhm.
they're gonna have to do something.
Yeah, so there's only so much that a team can take, and when you mentioned with the Jalen Bell miss going on right now with some of the other veterans getting influx of extra minutes because of his absence. Of course, Miami's been dealing with injuries too, so it's so much that a team can handle, and it all becomes a breaking point at some point. Now, I think the Miami Heat are reaching that. I think they're already at that breaking point, in my opinion, right now. So like you
Hmm.
said, this issue's got to be resolved and resolved quickly. Will it get resolved in less than 2 weeks at the trade deadline on February 6th? We shall see. But I will not be surprised if nothing happens here. And I know we'll get to this now about the Utah Jazz trading their 3 future first round picks to Phoenix in exchange for a second round pick. So Phoenix clearly wants Jimmy Butler. The question
Hmm.
is, how can they get that done with Bradley Beal, as that I mentioned at the top of the segment, that he has a no trade clause. Trades are not as easy in the NBA as people think now with this new CBA. Salary cap constraints and is getting kind of tighter there. So, uh, will Jimmy Butler be moved? I want to say yes, but as we sit here on January 24th, early in the afternoon Central Time Zone, I say no.
Yeah, I think those that pick where they got those with the Jazz that the Suns had, they got those three first round picks. Yeah, they know that they're gonna have to get a lot of draft capital. They want to get a Jimmy Butler or Zach or somebody else. So, but it's gonna be hard to kind of you have to because you have to match salary, you have to match the picks, and some people may want do they want all three? They want maybe one or two. Do you want to keep those picks in that back pocket just in case something else happens? So it's not gonna be easy. And I think, look, if we find out within 2 weeks from now that there's Butler is still a member of the Heat, it's gonna get a little testy there, and not even more testy in South Beach.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina hanging out here with you on the hashtag Football Friday edition. We're talking Bulls, we're talking NBA, everything around the pro game. I'm going to get to this other team, the Detroit Pistons. Do you think their head coach deserves some votes for Coach of the Year? I think many people expected some improvement at the failed experiment of Monty Williams last year, but we expected some improvement as a wait and see approach, but no one had expected them to be almost close to the middle of the Eastern Conference. And your guy Kate Cunningham, I think that's one of the keys why that the Detroit Pistons are up there. Of course, Jaden Ivey, I know there was questions about his future there. He's still there. And Kate Cunningham has been injured and off and on over the last year and a half or so. I think one of the reasons why the Detroit Pistons have turned it around is due to the health of Kate Cunningham. He's been healthy for the first time in about 2 years.
Yeah, you got to give JB Bickerstaff credit. I mean, look, we know his dad did this for many years as an NBA head coach and longtime assistant. So he learned from from one of the best here and grew up around a lot of the great coaches. So I would say for me, look, I think the way that, especially with Jaden Ivey being out, the fact that Kate Cunningham has stepped up, a lot of their other guys have stepped up as well. I think you got to really commend what JB has done, Coach Bickerstaff has done, and look, the fact that they're like right there, the 5 or 6 range in the Eastern Conference. I don't think anybody had that. If you had told me that they were gonna, especially with Ivy, being gone. Yeah, if you had told me that they were going to be, early this season, you thought that, oh, well, they're going to be right there in fourth place. I would have thought you were nuts. So, thanks to, guys like Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris. I mean, those guys have stepped up, with Ivy being out. And of course, Cade Cunningham's been doing his thing. I think you got to keep him healthy if you want to try to, don't know they're going to be at the top 6, but again, you never know. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think it's really great that. And I think Bickerstaff should definitely be right there in the running for Coach of the Year.
All right, another team that we haven't mentioned in this segment doing a deep dive, and we'll get to it here, is the Los Angeles Lakers. I think they're 5-6 games over 500 right now. They won both their games this week against Washington, of course, against Boston last night. They made the trade for Dorian Finney-Smith a couple of weeks ago. He's been okay. And, of course, many Lakers fans want GM Rob Pelinka to make a big splash trade like he did a couple years ago, which helped the Lakers get to the Western Conference Finals before being swept by Denver, who will go to win the championship a couple years ago. I'll quote what George Sedano of ESPN said a few years ago when LeBron James got there to Los Angeles. I'll just paraphrase it a little bit. When you give that player like LeBron James that much power and that much responsibility to an organization, this is what happens. And many people want to point the blame finger at LeBron James. Many people want to point the blame at Rob Pelinka, which I think it should start, in my opinion. Others may want to point the finger now at JJ Redick. Even though the Lakers have looked okay here recently, if they don't make a big move by the trade deadline, who do you blame first? Me personally, I blame Rob Pelinka, then LeBron James second.
Yeah, I mean they're the fifth spot right now, and as we're recording this, and look, I mean, no one had Houston, being at the near the top. I don't think anybody thought that. OKC, I mean, you kind of expected that. Denver's been pretty good. The Mavs, they're hanging in there with no Luka. The T-Wolves as well, they're hanging in there. So I think, well, for me, I think, look, let's see, let's wait. Look, they got winnable games coming up. We'll get to the schedule here in a second, but it's kind of like it's sort of silly that they're making the blame right now. That they're in the fifth spot right now. I don't know. People thought they were going to be number one seed, and like I said, I don't think anybody had Houston. Like I said, I'm a little skeptical about Houston. They can keep it up, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think the Lakers, I think people should just chill right now and just wait till the trade deadline to see if they can make that move.
All right, speaking of the schedule for the NBA for this weekend, we'll start off with games tonight. Weird that the NBA has this, but tonight's schedule looks like this. Portland will continue their East Coast road trip. They'll visit Charlotte. Cleveland and Philadelphia will do battle in the city of brotherly love. In the lone NBA TV game of the night, yes, even on a Friday, the New Orleans Pelicans will play the Memphis Grizzlies.
All right, and this series with in Paris, the Pacers and the Spurs will be playing each other again. This time, of course, the Spurs will be the home team, and this time the game will be on ESPN at 11 a.m. So
Saturday.
It's Saturday, yeah, that's tomorrow. So interesting how the schedule matches up. We'll see if the Pacers can bounce back after getting their butts kicked the first time against the Spurs. So we'll see what happens there. Now, ABC starts their Saturday triple header as Denver meets Minnesota at 2:00. That should be a good one. These two have split their respective season series so far. Boston and Dallas at 4:30 on ESPN, ABC and ESPN Plus. Miami and Brooklyn at 5. Then you got the Pelicans and the Hornets. Detroit, speaking of Detroit, they'll face Orlando, Toronto, and Atlanta. Should be a good one here. Houston and Cleveland, 6:30. That should be fun. Sacramento continues their East Coast trip against the Knicks. That should be a fun one. I talked about the Bulls earlier, hosting Philadelphia. At 7, Utah and Memphis. And it'll be LeBron and Steph part, like 20?
25.
Yeah, something like that. As that'll be the nightcap of that triple header on ABC at 7:30. And of course, you got the Wizards and the Suns. And you got Milwaukee and the Clippers. That should be a fun one between Dame and them. That should be a fun one.
And the lone game for Sunday for NFL Championship Sunday, the Oklahoma City Thunder will travel to Portland to take on the Blazers. That'll be at 5:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that is your schedule for the NBA for this weekend.
Okay, so we're going to do a really quick break, of course. Our girl, Chrissy Manika, is on her way with us. We'll preview Championship Sunday and our picks for Championship Sunday. The Baseball Hall of Fame makes their class announcement, and have a vote for whoever didn't vote for Ichiro. But again, we'll get to that in a second. And also other news, we'll get to
Shame on you.
Of course, we'll recap the national championship game and how Christine's feeling with her Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They fought to the end, though. I'll give them credit for that before losing to Ohio State and a whole lot more. Lakina McGee, City Brown, Second City Sports. Sports of Chicago, our girl Christine Mann from KXRB coming up right after this.
No, I don't know, though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded and live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakina McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. You better know that's me. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
Same bad time, same bad channel, just a half hour earlier. Once again, this week for our next guest, she is the co-host of the Andy and Christine in the Morning show over there at KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She is our weekend girl. Here comes Miss Christine, the Queen Manika. Good afternoon, Miss Christine.
Hello, how are you? How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Staying warmer, that's for sure. It's a little bit warmer today.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the tropics here, especially after the first couple of days this week. But I think everybody's happy about that now. We got so much to go with to talk to you about, Christy, and I know we all got a lot of time. So let's get right into Championship Sunday. Of course, the first game on the docket, the NFC title game, which will be on Fox at 2. It'll be the Commanders and the Eagles. Is the third time they'll be playing against each other. This year, of course, they split their season series. Of course, when they played when the Commanders and Eagles played, the Eagles were shorthanded. The Commanders were going to beat them last month. Now it's for pretty basically all the marbles in the Super Bowl. Of course, Jay and Dale's home to become the first rookie to lead his team to the Super Bowl. And yeah, Sid, you start this one for us.
Well, the Commanders delivered a rallying cry that I wanted, and we talked about it on the show this past Monday. Who was going to help out in the running game? It was Jeremy Nichols. It was Brian Robinson Jr. It was Austin Eckler to help out Jaden Daniels to take the pressure off of him. And what happened? They got the big win in Detroit. You get rewarded with like you mentioned, with the third matchup of your division rival Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Commanders, we all know, they're playing with house money. They're playing with so much confidence. Their defense actually has been playing very well. On the flip side for Philadelphia, you got to go up. You got go up against their offensive line, which has been playing great all year long, led by Lane Johnson. Jalen Hurts didn't have a great start again last week, unlike the previous week against the Green Bay Packers. But Saquon Barkley is the workhorse for the offense, as we said. We don't mind it. I don't think Philadelphia, the team doesn't mind it either. Now, Philadelphia's defense has been underrated all year, led by second-year man Jalen Carter out of Georgia, who the Bears could have selected, but that's a whole nother story. But it's going to come down again to both the offensive and defensive lines for these teams. And whoever has the best consistent running game, I think is going to win this game. And I think the magic number is 2. Whoever's going to come up with 2 or more turnovers is going to win this game. I'm picking Philadelphia in a close one. They are currently favored by 6 at home.
It's going to be really tough, I think, for the Commanders' defense to stop Saquon Barkley, just because he's having the season of his career right now, and he's he's very fast. It's just very hard to stop him. So because of that reason alone, and it's also tough to play in Philadelphia with that crowd, I'm going to go with the Eagles for this one.
I think really, if you're the Commanders, you want to try to set the tone early. Perhaps maybe you use your running backs. Use Brian Robinson Jr. Perhaps maybe to try to get down the field and such. Keep Hurts, because remember Hurts got hurt. Hurts got hurt. I'm not trying to be funny, but Hurts got got his concussion during that game. So that last game a couple of weeks ago, last month. So it's going to be interesting to see how kind of all this plays out. But that crowd's going to be roaring. It's going to be rocking. It could come down to a field goal again. So I'm gonna pick the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl only because there is more experience. And I know that Saquon really wants to go get his first trip to the Super Bowl, so he might take the team on his back and just go all out and just run it down the Commanders defense's throats. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, it should be a fun one over there in Philly. Now, the granddaddy of them all, I'm not trying to be facetious here, but again, this is going to be the 5th straight year that they're going to be facing, these two teams are going to be facing each other, the AFC title. Well, not the AFC title, but just in the playoffs overall in the AFC. But it's the second time they're going to be facing each other in the title game. We got Buffalo and KC, and someone's got to give here because Buffalo has not won a road playoff game since 1992 when they went to the Super Bowl. Let me say that again. They've lost 8 straight road playoff games. Now, on the flip side for Kansas City, they've won 7 straight playoff games. So someone's got to give here. And I know that Taylor Happ's going to be out for Buffalo. So that's going to be a big hit on that Buffalo secondary. They did the Bills did beat the Chiefs, but that was in their turf. So they're going to be at Arrowhead this time. And yeah, like I said, someone's got to give here. So what's going to happen? Christine, what do you think?
It's going to be a very close game, probably down to the wire. And I still, regardless, I like the Bills still, regardless whether it's during the season or postseason action. I just think it's their time to kind of take over. And with the Chiefs so far this year, they've been kind of low key in a way. Yes, they were winning games, but it wasn't pretty wins. They were ugly wins, as I call them. But because I think the Bills just had that little bit more intensity and fire to them ever since the start of the season, I'm gonna go with them. I'm going with the Bills.
Buffalo has an edge on Kansas City because they beat them in the regular season, but we've seen this act before when it comes to the playoffs. The Bills crumble, and I think, in my opinion, this is a big moment for Bills head coach Sean McDermott. As I said about a week or so ago, you don't have the excuse of Stephon Diggs anymore. You traded him away. You don't have the excuse of we don't have the players on defense. That's gone. We don't have a running back to complement Josh Allen. That's gone. His name is James Cook. And I think that James Cook is going to be the key here for the Buffalo Bills. And also to watch out for both their tight ends, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. I think you could attack the middle of that Chiefs defense, in particular their linebackers. You saw what they did last week in blitz and CJ Stroud. If Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo is going to try that again, look for those Buffalo Bills tight ends to have a big day. We all know how Josh Allen can scramble, but if he's smart like he was last week against Baltimore, he'll use those tight ends, and I'm looking forward to see that matchup. On the flip side, for KC, as you mentioned, Christine, they've been winning ugly all year. They don't have the big playmakers on offense like they did a few years ago. They're basically using Patrick Mahomes as a pedestrian quarterback and using their strong running game with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. But I think it's going to come down to the last play. You remember that 2021 playoff game in which I was on Sean McDermott's ass for calling that timeout before he went into overtime. He blew the game right there. But this is a pride check time for the Buffalo Bills. And this year's version of the Kansas City Chiefs, they're trying to go for a three-peat. Remember the last two teams in NFL history that tried to go for a three-peat? The 1994 Dallas Cowboys and the 1990 San Francisco 49ers. Both those teams did not three-peat, but both those teams have in common they lost in their conference championship games. Kansas City is trying to avoid that streak. They're not going to avoid it, in my opinion. Buffalo's going to go in there. They're going to beat Kansas City. I think they'll beat Kansas City by 7 points. Currently, the Chiefs are favored by 1.5 at home, which tells you that Vegas has them at a pick 'em.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be a toss-up game. You gotta think something's got to give with Kansas City, right? I mean, they've won in every sense of every way imaginable. Whether it's USA, I just hoping that we don't get like a call, that whoever the refereeing crew is, just keep it, unless it's blatant. Don't be so in a rush to call. And like you said, like let James cook as I say. And look, it's gonna be interesting to see how, like, I remember Matt Milano, of course. I know he's been limited, but I think he was a full participant in practice today. He was a big factor of he was not there last year when they faced each other in the divisional round. So I think something's got to give her, like you said, Sid. I remember those games, and I think the Chiefs are going to join that group. Unfortunately, that they are going to lose this game. It could come down to a field goal. It could come down to a final play. But yeah, I think Buffalo's going back to the Super Bowl. It's their time, and I mean, look, it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be a blowout. No one's gonna blow the other out, but yeah, it's gonna be some big plays. We might see Josh Allen make a big play. We may see Cook make a big run. I mean, look, we may see a defense. Look, this wouldn't be this isn't Von Miller's first rodeo either, so we may see him make a big play for the defense. So it's really going to come down to a total team effort for the Bills, and we'll see if they can do that. So I got the Bills winning, but yeah, it's going to come down to it though. So we'll see what happens. That game will be on CBS.
All right, and those are your Conference Championship Sunday NFL picks. As you listen to us, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday edition. I'm Sid. It's Christine. That's Lakina. Christine, before we get to Northern, I have some news on why to share with you. The last week's playoff game, Washington upsetting Detroit. And of course, and dropped to 2 from the divisional round.
You know what, Sid? I'll be honest with you. I really didn't have time to watch any of the games over the weekend just because I was busy with basketball all weekend. So I didn't have a chance to really sit down and analyze the games. But I did watch the Bills game with Ravens. I was very nervous up until the very last second, I feel like.
Mhm.
And I thought the way that they performed was fantastic. With James Cook, he made a lot of big runs, and Von Miller running for 40 yards. I can't remember the last time he ran that fast. So
Mhm.
to see the defense be so explosive like that for the Bills, that just goes to show you what this team is capable of.
Yeah, so again, we'll see if they can make that, come that going here against the Chiefs. So well, let's talk about. I saw your comments on Instagram about Ben Johnson, of course, being named the Bears head coach. What do you think? You sound like you're excited about. You've been excited about this. You've been telling this guy for like the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, I mean, he was one of the picks that I wanted to see in that position. It was either between him, McCarthy, Pete Carroll, or even Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, that had an interview with him. And I was very happy with Ben Johnson. I would have been happy with either of the picks, but Ben Johnson is the top candidate that every team wanted in the league because, let's be honest, we already knew where Mike Rabel was going, and it ended up happening, going to the Patriots. So the fact that the Bears really got the top candidate out of all the coaches out there right now, anyone available, it says that they really listened to the fans and they did their own work too. They made sure they analyzed every angle, and they got the right guy. 38 years old, very young, and has a lot of energy. He's willing to put in the work, and he wants the team to do the same thing. He said that in his press conference, saying, "Get comfortable with being uncomfortable." And I love that when a coach just prepares the team for hard work ahead, because it will be a lot of hard work ahead.
Now, many Bears fans have said that no, we're tired of being a dumpster fire for first-time head coaches. This is a number three market in the country. We should get more of an experienced head coach. What are your thoughts about this? Are you willing to give Ben Johnson a chance, or you think the Bears should have hired an experienced head coach?
I was going to say the last time that the Bears did well for a one season coach was Matt Nagy. He got coach of the year that year in his first season, and they took him to the wild card game, which we all know what happened with that one. But still, it's only been since then have we had bad luck with Eberflus. So to have another good year for a first time coach, I think that's the desire of the Bears fans and of course the organization. And I think Ben Johnson can do that just because, like Mike McCarthy, he has a lot of experience with this division and with the NFC. So if he knows anything about defeating the Packers, defeating the Vikings, and even the Lions, it would be him. He would know all the ins and outs of our division of the NFC North. So I wouldn't worry too much about that right away or put that type of pressure on him. I think it's just all about giving him the support and giving the players the support too, because he said it himself. It's going to take a lot to kind of put back the pieces of this organization, and hopefully he's going to be the one to get it done.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how all that kind of plays out here. Now, the rest of the coaching starting to kind of piece together here. Of course, Aaron Glenn is going back to the Jets. Of course, he played on the Jets squad. They officially announced him as the head coach. Now, this morning, Pete Carroll is going back to the
Yep.
NFL. He has been named the head coach of the Raiders,
Yep.
and they just made the announcement official here that Jaguars, after firing their GM, now they've what's interesting because Liam Cohen went back to Tampa, was gonna re-sign with the Bucks as their OC, but then once the Jaguars fired their GM, Trent Baalke, said, you know what, see you later, I'll come right back to the Jags. Of course, they make it official. He's now the new head coach over at Jacksonville. So any thoughts on this, folks? Because the coaching carousel is starting to kind of come together here.
Well, when it comes to the Jaguar situation, there's a lot of drama going on between what happened with the Bucks and what transpired with Jacksonville. When it comes to Pete Carroll, when I saw that announcement this morning, I told my co-host Sandy, I said, you can mark this down, you can mark down the date and the time. but I believe that the Raiders are going to be a threat next year just because they got Pete Carroll, they got their second guy that they wanted, and he still has that gusto, that attitude, and the will to win. And if anybody knows how to work rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, it's Pete Carroll, and he's very familiar with that region as well. So I would not be surprised if we say by, next year, by next season, that Pete Carroll and the Raiders are going to be in the wild card position. I would not be surprised to hear about that.
Sid?
I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of quarterback Pete Carroll picks, whether it's free agency or in the draft. They'll probably have to go in the draft to get that. Will it be Shedeur Sanders? Will it be Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon if he decides to come out? Will it be Cam Ward out of the University of Miami? I think that's the position that the Raiders will have to get first. We already know they have Max Crosby on on defense as if they don't trade him this offseason. So as far as the energy wise, like I said, Pete Carroll is perfect for that job. But I wanted to see how much say because he already had a lot of say with GM John Schneider in his time in Seattle. How much say he's going to have with that roster, and especially come draft time. And we all know that even though he owns 5% of the team for the moment, we already know that Tom Brady's going to stick his beak in there, and rightfully so, because even though he has a small percentage of the ownership in that team. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how Brady and coach, now new head coach Pete Carroll will work together to rebuild that roster.
The AFC, the rivalry between Carroll and Jim Harbaugh is going to be hilarious. Of course, they had their rivalry goes all the way back to when they were. Well, I know people say, well, the 49ers and the Seahawks. Oh, no. You can go all the way back to their college days when he was at SC, and of course, Harbaugh was at Stanford. So, going to be interesting to renew that big rivalry there. Baseball has announced their 2025 Hall of Fame class earlier this week. Ichiro, not a big shocker, 0-1 AL MVP, also Rookie of the Year, 10-time All-Star, 10 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers, first ballot Hall of Famer, all but 1 vote. I got a vote to pick with that person in a second here. Carson Charles Sabathia, better known as CC Sabathia, of course, a first ballot guy, 251 wins, 3,093 strikeouts, 07 AL Cy Young, and 6-time All-Star, of course, won the World Series with the Yankees in 09. And this guy who should have been a Hall of Famer a couple years ago, go back to the tapes, folks. Billy Wagner, 16 seasons, 2.31 ERA, 422 saves, 187 ERA plus, 7-time All-Star. So those are your 3 Hall of Famers. And Andrew Jones just missed getting into the Hall of Fame by 1 vote. Of course, Mark Burrow actually did better. He got about 33%, so I think he might get better. Unfortunately, Bleeds Over didn't get any votes, so we'll see what happens next year. But guys, what do you think about this new Hall of Fame class?
I think it's great. I thought it was funny when Ichiro said, "I want to have a drink with the guy that didn't vote for me." I thought that was hilarious. And then when Ken Griffey Jr. said, "I want to have a sake with you to celebrate,"
Yes.
it's great to see that. And then the day after they announced that they're retiring his jersey number, it's a very surreal couple of days for him. I imagine. Same thing with Bill Wagner when he got the call, and he probably thought, finally, this is happening. Like I'm getting in, and he probably never thought it would happen on the last try. So well deserved for all of them, really.
Sid?
My question is about Billy Wagner. Yes, he was a good player, but he didn't strike Hall of Fame in my eyes. I know you read off the numbers, but that's the only one that I had in question. But like you said, CC Sabathia, the World Series ring got him in the door along with the longevity. So congratulations to him and Ichiro as well. Now, if I was in Ichiro's position, whoever didn't vote for me, screw 'em, I'm in the Hall of Fame regardless. So that's how I would look at it. But congratulations to all the entire 2025 class that will be going in. Let's not forget, even though he was elected by the Veterans Committee, I know he passed away a few years ago. Let's say congratulations once again to Dick Allen, the late Dick Allen, who's finally got his just due for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and also Dave Parker too. So those 5 players will be submitted. I know Parker's. I guess like we talked about a few weeks ago. Parker. I know he's been having some. Has had some health issues recently, but he said, "Look, I'm going." He's basically, "I'm going down there. Come hell and high water, I'm going to be down there later this summer over at Cooperstown." So yeah, congrats to all 5 members. And Ichiro's very classy, so he's going to keep it classy and. Because he wants to that's so sweet. He wants to have a drink with a guy that did not. Yeah. So he's gonna keep it classy. So he's not gonna wanna. I know. Well, everyone else is gonna do it for him, but I do want to know who was it. It's not gonna come out unfortunately, but I would love to know who was it did not vote for him. Mario Rivera is the only person still. Again, we will talk about the stuff that's come out about him and his wife. We won't talk about that. It's getting Google's your friend, kids, as I always say. Now, some of the get ready to feel old here, folks, because some of the players that are going to be eligible next year, among some of the others, Ryan Braun, Edwin Encarnacion, Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Hunter Pence, and Rick Purcell. I won't off all the names, but yeah, those are some of the names that are going to be eligible next year. So looking at the list, guys, I know you guys probably had to look at it, but you see any of those guys going in next year as first ballot?
No.
Might happen. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not, but it's a good list to start.
Yeah, I think Hamels. Yeah, he might have to. I think Hamels might have to wait a couple of years. That's just my opinion, but yeah. So a couple of minutes for our girl Christine Mack from KXRB here. KXRB here on Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago. Keena McGee, Sydney Brown with you. Notre Dame. I know you said you get a chance to watch the Notre Dame Ohio State game. Congrats to Ohio State. They won their 7th national championship over Notre Dame, of course, down there in Atlanta. Just too much of Ohio State's offense. It was too much for the Notre Dame defense. Short-handed. So, Christine, what did you think about that? I know you get a chance to watch it. What do you think about the highlight? I know you saw some highlights.
Oh,
What do you
no.
think about?
I watched that game. I stayed up on Monday night and I watched that game. I didn't watch the Commanders and the Lions game because of basketball. But no. I did watch that Notre Dame game. Went out with a couple of friends and watched it too. I thought for a split second when they scored first and they ate up all that clock, I said, "Holy cow, this could happen. Like they're gonna do it." Now I didn't count them down and out totally by the time halftime came around. I thought, compared to the last time they were in that situation, it was a good fight. It was a great game, towards the end, and they did find their stride eventually. It wasn't enough, unfortunately, but I think that is a good way to end a season like that. It was a commendable loss, and I know that they're going to be back in that position under Marcus Freeman. They are definitely going to be back.
All right, and we'll see what happens with both these schools going forward next year for 2025. Now, last thing for me, Christine, I know we have a couple minutes left. I'll try to make it quick. The White Sox announced their promotional schedule. I won't read all of the dates, but first of all, I want to say their Sox Fest Live will take place starting tonight and tomorrow for 2 days at the Ramona Theater in Bridgeport on the south side of Chicago. So any fans that are going, have fun. Unfortunately, I cannot make it. I won't be there. So have fun tonight. I know there's be a lot of former players and current players there. And so we just want to say that those fans that are going tonight and tomorrow, have yourselves a great time. And we'll talk about it on the show next week. Some of the promotional dates that were announced last week, we didn't get a chance to get to it last week. I'll just give out a couple for this upcoming season. Dog Day will be on Tuesday, April 29th against Milwaukee. Star Wars Day will be on Sunday, May the 4th against the Houston Astros.
Naturally.
Illini Night will be on Tuesday, May 20th against Seattle. Yep.
Okay.
Christmas in July on Monday, July 28th against Philadelphia. The Grateful Dead Night Tribute, including a selected jersey, will happen on Tuesday night, August 12th against Detroit. One of your favorite nights, Christine, Friday night, August 22nd against Minnesota, Elvis Night.
Elvis Night. Gotta love Elvis Night. Gotta have him.
Of course.
Yes, and the halfway to St. Patrick will be on Saturday, September 20th against the San Diego Padres. More dates and promotional dates will be announced at a later date, perhaps in.
Uh-huh. All right. All right, Chrissy. I know you got a jet. So where people can find you on social media and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, you could find me on Twitter or X at Manika_KXRB.
All right, Christy. It's been so much fun as always. Of course, same. Well, not the same time.
All right,
Same.
No, go ahead. Enjoy championships Sunday. We'll talk to you again next week. Say hello to the family.
Yeah, I will. Yes, thank you. And yeah, I think I'll be on at 1:30 next week. So yeah, I think we're good there.
All right, good. Stay warm. You guys stay warm and stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, stay safe. All right,
All right, you're saying take care.
All right, that was our girl Christine Mack from KXRB. Of course, we're gonna take a really quick break. So we're gonna go back to the round ball, but this time college style, as unfortunately Illinois has a tradition there, and yeah, not a good one, but we'll talk about that, of course, and a little bit of hockey too. We'll do a little bit of that. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of that hockey as well as some sports media news. As NBC has announced who their new main guy for the NBA is going to be, which shouldn't really be a big shocker there, and so much more. Lakina McGee, City Brown, Second City Sports, on Sports for Chicago. We're going to have even more fun as we wrap things up coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things, none of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to our last break of the show for today. You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday this year, locked and loaded and live in 11 color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
All right, follow my Kim again on the Twitter, executors again, IG.
As I mentioned, this is our last break of the show for today. So we talk college basketball, sports, media, news, and more. You can listen. You can go to our Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. I apologize for my stirring. I'm trying to stay warm here. I know it's the last break of the show for today, but it's Friday. I'm in love.
Oh gosh! All right. Okay. Let's get Sid out of this hole he's dug himself in. But let's talk some college hoops. As yesterday, Maryland. I think it's like the fourth time in the last 5 or 6 years they've beaten Illinois. 91-70, 27 points for Julia Reese. That's Angel's little brother for those of you scoring at home. He had 27 points. There was a game, not career, but a season high for Mr. Reese there. I know they didn't have Ivanovic for Illinois. Jekionis had 21 points, but yeah. I'm like what some people Illinois said. I mean, this is their second straight loss. Of course, they lost to Michigan State on Sunday. And yeah, this is not the consistency that I want from Illinois. I am a little bit worried now that we're getting into the meat of conference play.
Yeah, you should be concerned, especially after what happened last night. They shot the ball, at least in the first half, great last Sunday. We talked about on the show against Michigan State, but they lost their fire toward the end of that game. They had a fighter's chance to win the game. They should have won that game, to be honest with you. But last night, they let that, for whatever reason, carry over. They shot 37% overall, 21% from three. And as we talked about with this Illini team these last couple of years, when they get a little bit too happy with the three-point shot, all the areas of the game start to suffer. Only 13 assists last night, Lakina, but 16 turnovers. You're not going to win many games in any form or any level of basketball when you commit 16 turnovers. Only 13 assists to those 16 turnovers is not going to get it done. You got to be more aggressive, especially inside the paint when your shots are not falling, and you got to cut down on the turnovers.
Yeah, I know Maryland only made 3-pointers yesterday, but here's the thing here. They had 27 points off those 16 Illini turnovers, and they had 29 defensive rebounds too. I think Reese had about like 12 of those. So yeah, that's not gonna work if you're the Illini. I know Isnovich, I know that's where they missed him because he's really their big rebound guy. But again, Illinois, I think people should be a little bit worried. But I think right now this is what happens. We have a long season. You're going to conference play. Every team they know you. And that's not going to be a big thing here. So we'll see if Illinois can bounce back after this. But Memphis pulled away from Wichita State. It was kind of close for a little bit, but they did pull away from them there. Eastern Illinois lost a tough one to Morehead State. And Little Rock beat Western Illinois. Oregon State beat Pepperdine. Of course, we were Oregon State and Washington State. They're in the West Coast Conference with Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Those you scoring at home there. Santa Clara, no trouble with Wazoo in that matchup down there in the West Coast Conference. To Wednesday's matchup, Florida needed a jumper by Will Richard, but they did beat South Carolina. Houston, no trouble with Utah. They just dominated Utah. Kansas beat TCU. Texas A&M edged out Ole Miss. It would end up being a great game there. St. John's did it overtime, but they beat Xavier. Murray State beat Southern Illinois. Clemson beat Syracuse. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit there in that game, but Clemson pulled away there. Loyola with a nice win over Fordham and then in the A-10. North Texas, the Fighting Layla Rahimis, they beat Temple 76-67. St. Louis beat LaSalle by 12. Baylor beat K-State, and California beat Florida State. Oh, and Utah State beat Nevada. USC beat Nebraska. Arkansas got their first win in the SEC play. They beat Georgia. St. Diego State near overtime, but they beat Air Force, and Stanford no trouble with Miami.
Going back to the Big Ten locally, last Wednesday, let's give head coach Chris Collins of Northwestern credit. We said they needed to get back to their identity and get back on a winning track after losing a tough one to Michigan on the road. They bounced back with a nice 9-point win over Indiana on Wednesday up there in Evanston. I know they gave us 70 points. You're going to say, well, Sid, how did Northwestern get back to their identity? Well, their identity is defense. They forced 17 turnovers by the Hoosiers, and they got 11 steals. So, in my opinion, that was the big difference in the game. In the game for Northwestern, both teams shot the ball well, but it's the little things that comes down to the trenches. And Northwestern crawl back to their identity with defense, as I mentioned, with those 17 turnovers and with the 11 steals. When you're active on defense, especially when your shots are not falling, even though they were on Wednesday, defense is going to help you win a lot of games. And Northwestern got back to the basics on Wednesday.
They're gonna need to do that. I know they were out one of their top guys. They really need to do that. They want to have a shot at perhaps getting instead of a go back to the tournament for the third straight year. Tuesday's games real quick before we get to this weekend's. Iowa State no trouble with UCF. Alabama pulled away from Vanderbilt. Tennessee no problems with Mississippi State. Chasnier had 23 points there. Marquette, no trouble with Seton Hall. Ohio State upset Purdue, and I think they had not won against Purdue in like 3 or 4 years. So yeah, nice win for Ohio State there, I should say. Oregon beat Washington. UCLA with the upset over Wisconsin. Ed Mara had 22 points there. Connecticut needed overtime, but they held off Butler. Texas beat Mizzou. Arizona State beat West Virginia. And Ryan Smith had 30 points, including, and look, he was huge from the 3-point range. He shot 10 threes, so that helped him. That helped Louisville beat SMU there, and also Chucky Hepburn had 17 assists in that game. So it's actually the only time in this century that the D1 team had a player with 10 plus threes and 15 plus assists in the same game. The last team to do that was the Warriors. Back in a couple years ago in 2022 when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson did that. So against the Lakers. So go figure with that one. Now going to this weekend's games here. Marquette, they host Villanova at 6 o'clock on FS1. Bowling Green, they host Toledo. That's going to be on that's their CBS Sports Network. That's in the MAC. St. Joe's meets Dayton on ESPN2. Michigan and Purdue at 7 o'clock on the Big Fox Network. St. Bonaventure and VCU on ESPNU, and a doubleheader to finish it off on FS1. You got Penn State and Iowa and UCLA and Washington, old Pac-12 rivals, go do down the Big Ten. It's good for no Pac-12 rivalry, 10/12 rivalry, as they meet each other for the first time as Big Ten opponents on FS1 at 10 o'clock.
All right, key games in college basketball for tomorrow at 11 o'clock on the CW Network. SMU will travel to NC State to take on the Wolfpack. That's at 11 a.m. local time, Channel 9 here in Chicago. For those of you scoring at home, WGN. Other games, HBCU is going to get some live love, courtesy of ESPNU, as Howard will take on Norfolk State at 11:30 a.m. At the same time on Fox, Georgetown, surprisingly 13-6 start. They'll take on Providence on the road. At high noon on the SEC Network, number 14 Mississippi will take on South Carolina. And we're scrolling down here. I know there's a couple of big games in the Big Ten. I'll look for those in just a moment. The second game of that doubleheader on the CW Network will have North Carolina facing off Boston College. That's at 1:15 on the CW, locally on Channel 9 here in Chicago, WGN.
Michigan State and Rutgers on CBS at 12:30. You had Seton Hall and Creighton on FS1 at 12:30. ESPN Plus, you got Iowa State and Arizona State. And the Missouri Valley gives some love as featuring two State teams. Illinois State and Bradley. That's at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. That should be a fun matchup there. Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky at 1:30 on ESPN. Texas and Texas A&M, they're now foes in the SEC as they face each other on ESPN2 at 1:30. Tulane and Rice on ESPNU. A little love for the Mountain West as New Mexico travels to Las Vegas to face UNLV. That's going to be at 2 o'clock on Fox, on the Big Fox Network. Southern Illinois and UIC, that's going to be on ESPN Plus. Shout out to our buddy Jay, who will have to call that game there. Colorado, Arizona at the same time on ESPN Plus.
All right. Other games of note in the top 25 for tomorrow in college basketball. So get the schedule loaded here. We will have Duke at Wake Forest at 3:30 on ESPN2. The regular ESPN. Sorry, ESPN tomorrow at 3:30. Cooper Flagg will take his number 2 ranked Duke Blue Devils to North Carolina to take on the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. Can't wait for that one. At 5 p.m. on the SEC Network, we'll have number 16 Ole Miss traveling to Missouri to take on the Tigers. They're ranked number 22 in the country. 5:30 on ESPN, we'll have number 7 Houston visiting number 12 Kansas. And at prime time on Fox, we'll have number 19 UConn. They'll take on Xavier on the road. At 7:30 on ESPN, we'll have number 1 Auburn hosting number 6 Tennessee in a primetime battle there. And on the SEC Network at the same time, LSU will travel to number 4 Alabama to take on the Crimson Tide.
Should be a fun matchup there. Georgia and Florida at 2:30 on the SEC Network. Oregon travels to the Twin Cities. They face Minnesota on BTN at 3 o'clock. Northern Illinois meets host Ball State. That's at 3:30. I should say on ESPN Plus. Let's see here. You did that game already. UConn Xavier. That's gonna be at 7 o'clock on the Big Fox Network. St. Mary's in Washington State. That's gonna be at 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. Oklahoma and Arkansas at 7:30 on ESPN2. San Diego State and Nevada is at 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And the nightcap in the Big 12, you got Cincinnati and BYU at 9:30 on ESPN2. And two of the top teams in the Big West Conference will face each other as Cal State Northridge faces UC San Diego. That's going to be on ESPN Plus at 9.
Your top 25 schedule for Sunday looks like this. Nebraska will travel to Wisconsin to take on the Badgers in Madison. The 18th ranked Wisconsin Badgers. That's at high noon on the Big Ten Network. At the same time on ESPN2, number 24 Memphis, my guy Penny Hardaway will host UAB. And at 2 p.m. on the Big Ten Network, the Battle of the State, Illinois State. The number 17 ranked Fighting Illini. They need a big win in a big way. They'll host the Northwestern Wildcats. That's at 2 o'clock on Sunday on Big Ten Network down there in Champaign.
Also, Army and Navy, of course, their rivalries kind of go. It'll be just football, basketball as well. That'll be at 2:30. That'll actually be after the women's game. That'll be on at noon. We'll see that at noon on CBS Sports Network, while the men's game will be on CBS Sports Network at 2:30 after that game. So always fun when those two teams face each other. It's more than just sports with them. So, but that is your schedule for this weekend in college hoops.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina here with you. We still have a few minutes left, wrapping up this Hashtag Football Friday edition of the program. All right, Lakina, some sports media news. Connor McKnight, we didn't get a chance to discuss this with Christine, but Connor McKnight, I don't know if we did or not, but Connor McKnight has moved on from ESPN 1000. He'll become the new White Sox team insider for the new CHSN Chicago Sports Network. And, of course, he'll be filling in for John Schriffen whenever he has some days off. And currently right now, ESPN 1000 is looking for a new pre and post game host for White Sox, for their radio side for White Sox coverage. So congratulations, Connor McKnight.
Yeah, he's a terrific base. We know he's a baseball guy for all his years working here in Chicago, and not a big surprise. Like you say, he's going to fill in for John Schriffen. He's also going to fill in for Len Casper when he has to do other for baseball commitments as well. So a nice little flexible job here. He's going to be an insider and stuff. So yeah, he's probably making a little bit of extra cash too. So this might be why he might have taken the job. But yeah, so good for Connor. He definitely deserves it. It'll be interesting to see who ESPN brings in to replace him.
Yeah, I have a couple of people in mind, but I'm not going to say it on the air. So, but whoever that person, he or she will be, will be very intelligent. Will be an honorary affiliate in that role as far as ESPN 1000 is concerned. Now, the NBA on NBC, we have a new lead play-by-play voice. Is not surprising to myself or Lakina. We talked about this off mic, but officially, congratulations to Mike Tirico. His work does not stop after Sunday Night Football next year. He'll be the new lead voice for the new NBA on NBC, which starts next fall.
Yeah, not a big surprise. I think I think this was sort of like all but a given that he was going to get that top job for the NBA. So yeah, I mean, he did it for years on ESPN. He's called by those games on ESPN. So yeah, not a big shocker that that he's going to be the lead guy there. So it looks like they're starting to kind of come together here. So with some of the names that we have floated around, the word is going to Amazon for a second. It looks like Kevin Harlan will be the number one guy there. Nothing official yet, but I guess there's still maybe some languages and stuff like that. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna, it looks like that's gonna happen there now. He won't have to worry about any, like any other like weird commitments and such. Since Amazon's a streaming service, so that'll be. I would be surprised if a couple other people who are at Turner right now, go to Amazon to do NBA. So it's gonna be interesting what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's see. I saw something else I wanted to discuss with you. Regarding some sports media news. I'm trying to find it here. Oh, ESPN will, college football weekend. They'll be coming up in the fall. Of course, Labor Day weekend. It's a big weekend, week 0, as some people will call it college football. It's a big grandiose. So, ESPN is booking the North Carolina game and the debut of new head coach Bill Belichick on Labor Day night.
Well, like I said, I mean, I know they've already gotten players there thanks to good old NIL. So it'll be interesting to see, like, North Carolina really is not, they've had their moments, of course, over the last 20, 25 years. It's not really a football school, but maybe with Bill Belichick, I mean, we'll see if things change. So I'm not surprised they're going to try to perhaps maybe maneuver those games, make it try to showcase them. But yeah, if they don't hit right away, I mean, that's gonna die down very quick.
All right. Back to basketball. We talked about Mike Tirico being the new voice for the NBA on NBC. I think our Iron Eagles son Noah will be the second voice for those games. I know it's not officially yet, but it seems like he's the man for that second spot. And speaking of the NBA on NBC, they're eyeing a few current players who will potentially retire at the end of this upcoming season to perhaps be a part of those studio shows. Those potential names including Chris Paul, Kevin Love, Draymond Green, and Kyle Lowry.
Interesting names there. I mean, we've seen Draymond before. Of course, we see him with the Inside the NBA guys, so not a big surprise there. I haven't heard Kyle Lowry say anything about wanting to do television. I know he hosts a podcast, so not a big surprise with some of the names. I know Kevin Love does some stuff on television, so again, not surprised with him. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but it'll actually make you also feel old. So we'll see if D Wade's name is going to be in the mix for that. He did a great job with Noah during the Olympics. You're calling the men's hoops games. So I think it's gonna be interesting. Like once they do officially announce that, they probably won't do it to probably about this time next year anyway. But around like maybe like later, like over the summer. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like who gets those? Who's gonna be? Who are gonna be those new big for the new NBA on NBC?
And going back to the NBA on TNT, Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny Smith both re-signed their deals with Turner Sports, continuing their relationship with that company. Of course, we all know that Inside the NBA will still be produced by the Turner Sports production company. They'll be moving to ESPN starting in the 2025-2026 season.
It's gonna be interesting too. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So I guess that's what they were waiting on. Because I think Barkley kind of let out the bag that they had not re-signed their contracts yet. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think they're still gonna be doing some stuff with the men's basketball tournament because they still have a contract with them the next 5 years. So yeah, I think they're gonna want to try to lock those guys down for that if nothing else.
All right, and I know this has been out there for the last 3 weeks. We didn't get a chance to talk about it both on or off air, but NBC Sports Bay Area, their regional sports channel, has been moved up to the highest tier. Of course, that channel televises the San Jose Sharks, the Golden
Mm-hmm.
State Warriors, and the Oakland Athletics, which unfortunately they'll start their home games in Sacramento this upcoming year for the next 3 years. But
Mm-hmm.
Lakina, I don't know about you, but it's an ugly sign that moving up to the highest tier for those who have Xfinity service out there in the Bay Area. We all know what the situation is here in Chicago. CHSN doesn't want the sports channel to move to the highest tier on Comcast. Comcast says no, we're going to move you to the highest tier. As of right now, the Marquee Sports Network they're airing on Xfinity, but they keep re-signing extension deals, so they won't have to move to the highest tier. What are your thoughts about this with the NBC Sports Bay Area moving to the highest tier? I hate to say it's an ugly sign coming to Chicago. Should if or when CHSN will debut on Xfinity. As you well know, I'm a customer of Xfinity Comcast. If they move to the highest tier, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
Well, we'll get ready to feel worse because this was just retweeted about an hour ago. The Minnesota Twins, their TV series service will be available for $99 a season or 19.99 a month. Local fans can watch without blackouts. So yeah, I think unfortunately, putting these sports because a lot of them are not. They want to get out of the regional sports business. So hey, let's put in the sports tier where you have to pay more money. And like I guess if you're a DirecTV customer, you're thinking you're looking stars because you get the local you get the local sports channel as part of the regular package. I think like the extra package. I think that's where you get if you're whether DirecTV or DirecTV stream. So this is not a good sign if you're they're trying to do the old a la carte cable from back in the day. So putting all the sports channels in one packaging the regional ones. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I forgot to guess who we had on from Minnesota a few months ago, but we were talking about it with him about with the situation with the Minnesota since they're going through the team is up for sale and they didn't renew their contract with Bally's now FanDuel Sports and I guess it's a good deal for Twins fans. But looking at as we talked about before with bringing it back home to Chicago with the new CHSN, you're gonna tell us you're gonna pay between $20 and $30 a month for their streaming service for one team. If you want all three teams, you're gonna pay up to $330 a year. That's more than most cable bills combined. That's not gonna make sense, especially with what's focusing on Chicago. You're gonna pay $330 a year for three struggling teams? No way.
Not a chance. And yeah, especially if they just kind of take a downturn in the economy. I can't see a lot of people wanting to spend the money to get those packages and such. So yeah, this is not I know this is the way of the future for some people, but again, people are not going to want to pay all that. It's not going to be feasible for some folks.
And like I said, and going to my situation, yes, I do have Xfinity Comcast, but I told you I had to dust off my 15-year-old antenna to get CHSN. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. I don't feel like moving that antenna. I'm sorry, this ain't back in the old school days looking. You have somebody living in your home. You stay right there because you get the great reception. I don't have the luxury to do that, but there's some days I can watch the channel. Some days I can't. It's like, really? I know it's technically free to everybody, but as we said before, we'll say it again. I know a few people that live in high rises. You can't really get that channel with the antenna. What are you going to do? If you don't want to subscribe to a cable service, that's your prerogative. I don't blame you. But if you live in the high rises or like I do, I live in an apartment, but some days you can get it, some days you can't. I don't feel like, especially right now when we're in the meat of winter season, I'm not opening up my damn rental to get a decent reception. No!
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess this is what they're banking on. Unfortunately, some of these teams. So yeah, this is gonna be kind of the thing here these next couple of years. So for people who keep saying that, oh well, look, they got big numbers for these sporting events on Amazon and Paramount Plus and Netflix, but people are not gonna have the money to pay that stuff, especially on a month, not even yearly, but a monthly basis. So yeah, it's kind of silly, but what do we know?
Yeah, like I said, I don't have any really streaming services right now. Now, if you want to count MLB.TV for me, that's fine because I get that as part of my season ticket package with the White Sox. I get those games for free. But outside of that, I don't have Netflix. I don't have Amazon. I was like, and I think I was just saw it recently. You could update me on this. So I think Netflix is starting to go up again. It's like,
Yep.
if you're going to go up, that's fine, but you got to give me more options right now. I looked through it. And I was like, you're not giving me more options. That's just me personally. I know a bunch of people that have it, but you keep going up on prices for these streaming services. Enough. There's going to be a breaking point. It's going to be too much. Enough is enough already.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be like I said, you're gonna be facing cable at this point. You might as well it's just it's not gonna be like I said it's like you said, especially all this a la carte stuff, and of course the whole Venmo sports thing. Now they're gonna have a separate Fox, ESPN. They're all gonna have a separate sports thing where you got all sports. So basically, you're gonna have a la carte, like I said, a la carte style from back in the '90s with cable and satellite. So yeah, I mean, I know it's the way of the future, but yeah, people are going to be able to pay for it. And I think that's going to be the thing that people need to remember.
And I know we talked a bit about this at the beginning of the year, the calendar year, where all the New York sports area teams that come together for this New York City, Gotham City Sports app, of course, MSG and the Yes Network. You can get all the games a la carte by downloading that one app. I forgot how much is it a month because you have some multiple teams and multiple sports in the New York City area. It looks like that thing is doing okay, but I wish we had a better deal like that here in Chicago. But it is unfortunately has not come to pass. It's not meant to be. I know those people are talking about, well, the Cubs and the Blackhawks should have had their own network on Marquee. Obviously, that didn't come to pass, but it brings back the old question to the Reinsdorf and perhaps the Worst family. Why would you start a regional sports network now?
Exactly.
RSNs are going by the wayside, especially
Yeah,
where you can't have everybody access to it.
yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you're kind of like, why in the world would you do such a thing and such? So yeah, that's really gonna be the thing here for me is that why would you even do this, knowing that, especially when you didn't have an alternative, knowing that you didn't have you didn't have like a sports you didn't have like a packaging and such. And like I said, I mean, I have YouTube TV, and unfortunately, they don't think the regional sports networks are worth the investment. Okay, so you're basically saying F us then. Okay, those who are sports fans of YouTube TV, I may have to I don't know, I might have to like make a change. I'm thinking about it because I just think that at this point you're just like, okay, why should I? And you're going, and you just went up too, so I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth. So I'm just like, what the hell? But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Do you have any other streaming services before we wrap up? Do you have any other streaming services outside of YouTube TV?
I have Netflix, I have Paramount Plus, and Peacock.
Okay. I know Peacock was offering some special deals through my streaming service, through my cable service. I decided to pass on at this time, but we'll see how this goes. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we close up shop for the weekend?
No, I think you know what? I think I'm good. Like tennis. Your girl Madison Keys is going for her first Grand Slam later on tonight. She'll be facing Ria Zabalenka. She's going for her third Australian Open, so she's gonna have a very tough opponent. But
yes,
look, but look, she looks great. She beat Swiatek, and I think she could. I think look, it's gonna be an uphill climb for her, but this is like her third final, so I'm hoping that she can pull it off. But yeah, she's gonna face a very tough opponent, Sabalenka.
I don't want to put the bad juju out there, but hopefully she doesn't get hurt. Oh, no, hopefully both of them don't get hurt. Be honest with you, but I hope Madison doesn't get hurt tonight. And so,
right. So we'll see what happens there. Now, it'll be Yannick Sinner who's going for his second Aussie Open. Of course, he beat Ben Shelton in the semis. He'll face Alexander Zverev, who had a walkover, not a walkover, but unfortunately, Djokovic that got hurt, and of course, after that tiebreaker, and of course, I know some people were wondering, was he faking? But he's getting up there and age, talking about Mr. Djokovic and Zverev. He's going to be going for his second Grand Slam. So it'll be the two of them facing each other. So that should be a good final coming up. That's gonna be tomorrow. No, yeah, tomorrow night, late tomorrow night here, and early Sunday there. So hello time differences, but yeah, that should be a fun final too on the men's side.
All right, Lakina, take us home.
You can follow Keena McGee on the Twitter, executes again on IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, so Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live and live in color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live and live in color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, you can get Sports Zone Chicago, the replays right there on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. So you can catch replays of our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more. You can get Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on the Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook YouTube pages.
And we will provide.
All right, so enjoy Championship Sunday, everybody. All the college hoops, both the men and the women. Also, all the other great sports. I think they play soccer again this weekend. And also to enjoy the finals of the Aussie Opens, both the men and the women. So should be a great sports weekend coming up here. And stay warm, everybody. I know there's some stuff going on with the wildfires. So, guys, be safe out there if you live out there in Southern California. And all the snow hanging there, you guys down there in the South with all the snow and such. So, sorry about that.
Global warming is here, folks.
Yes, make sure the other guy at the White House knows it. But again, we won't go to attention there. So, for Sid, I'm Lakeith with Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's go, Madison Keys. Holla!